cast all around in the surfaces. And now I would like to pass it outside to someone else to create, to do whatever they would like to do with this scene in FBX file format. And all I need to do is to go to the file, export, and there's FBX. This is where I can export it. Well, I actually already did that. It takes a while depending on how complex your scene is. And we are using the Blender free modeler software to represent it, to show you how it looks like when you imported the content. And for this reason, I have this Blender modeler here. So as you can see, all the textures, all the surfaces, and even the light sources are all appearing here, and I can just select them. I can work with them the way I want, and I can just use the tools of Blender to, I don't know, connect it to another renderer or just model something.
Hello and welcome to ARCHLine.XP 2022, a faster and better way to design. My name is Zoltán Tóth. Over here is our resident architect, Mr. Élés.
Hi.
This show is part 2 of our webinar series to talk about some of the highlighted features of ARCHLine.XP 2022. Here's a few examples of what we are going to discuss today.
Well, first, we will discuss the abilities that you can reach in the software to open the cabinets. This way you can animate doors and drawers, how they work in your design, and it is just simply easier to talk with your clients if you can show how they work and discuss certain design options. After that, we will also cover certain listings and how there is an option to visualize your cabinet in an exploded view. We will see what that means on your drawing, which is very useful again to describe and explain which part is what of your cabinet design. And also we will talk about the extended capabilities of the native Revit import, which is very, very useful for those who are working with Revit files. And this time what we will show you is that actually the software is able to read the Revit files and kind of keeping the original architectural items as they are. So I mean, many times if this would not happen, the whole thing that you open would be just simply an object. But in this case, it will be walls, doors, perhaps slabs and other sort of items that you can work with instead of kind of objects within your project. So it's a very, very useful tool for those who work with Revit files. Also, we will cover the possibilities to export 3D PDF files, and I will show you how you can visualize them in an Explorer, for example, an Internet Explorer or a Chrome browser. And also, we will talk about the FBX file import and export, and that is also a very, very useful feature for those who would like to export and import objects made by other makers, or if you would like to represent your model using third-party modelers and rendering engines. This is also the best file format that we can offer with a high-quality export feature that you will see later in this demonstration.
As always, we urge you to download the test version, the 30-day trial from our website if you want to give it a test run. But for now, let's get to it. Here's a neat trick to show your cabinetry in action.
Well, this project is a kitchen design, and we have quite a few units, which I can show you how you can, make them open, animate them. But before I do, it just came to my mind that we actually can animate the sliding doors as well. This is also a new feature, so let me just quickly cover that. If you select a door, it can be a normal, regular opening door as well. And if this is a sliding door, it will be animated like this. If you click on this icon, it will just simply slide away and then close back up. And this is how you can tell the customers how it will work, how it will be operated. This works with many other doors as well. So you just find that icon, click on that, and it will automatically animate the item.
And what about the cabinetry?
Yeah, and actually the same thing applies to the cabinets. I saved the view. Now I'm in this view, and I saved this view called Kitchen Sliding Door 2. And if I go back into this view, you can see this layout clearly. And if I just zoom in a little bit, because I would like to animate these, if I click here and I find the same exact icon, and when I click on it, it will make those doors open. Now the trick here is that the software will animate every single door or drawer in that single unit. So if you click on one unit and you click on this one, it will automatically open all the openings here. So if anything is marked as fixed, then it won't be operated. But anything that has an opening operation, then it will be animated like that. So it's very easy to discuss certain design options. Like, for example, there is a corner and there are, mechanisms that can, collide into each other if they are operated in a certain way. Then this way you can easily prove that, and you can just, click on an item, click on animate, and then you can discuss the other options that you have with that single item.
Yes, this feature results in easier client communication. Let's proceed with some tips on how to gather your cabinet parts. There's a very neat tool for that. Let's see that.
Well, all these cabinet items that you can see here are designed using the software's tools here in the interior and KBB items. There's a built-in library, and also you can create your own items. This here was designed with those tools. And if you have items designed with the cabinet designer in the software, which is a very, very powerful tool, you have an option to create a so-called exploded view, which is, as you can see soon, it is a very good drawing to explain the different parts of your item. So if you zoom into any of those items that you have on your drawing, and you click on this little context menu, and you find that command which is called the cabinet exploded view, then you can place this. This is a tiny drawing. You can place this next to your drawing somewhere, and this will tell you the following information. These are all the panels: the doors, the shelves, the back panel, the side panel, the bottom panel. These are all built using this tool in the software. And as you can see here, they are numbered, so you can easily identify which is which. Even the legs are there. That is number 4. And you can tell the sizes, the materials, actually the way they are named. So you can name these panels any way you want, and that name will be represented here. So this is a good drawing to either explain how it is assembled, or any sort of other features that you would like to show with this, how it is operated. It is a very useful tool to create a layout like this.
But this is a group, so if you want to edit it, then you can, right?
Yes, you can. This is a group, so this means that you can anytime either explode the group, or you can just edit the group, enter into this group, and then do whatever you would like to with this group. So this is how it is being taken. And actually, if you would like to have the same information from a very specific item like this here, this is a really custom built bespoke item there. This works the same exact way. So you need to find that item here on your drawing. This is it. As you can see, it is highlighted here in the 3D. You just find the same tool here, which is the cabinet exploded view, and then you can just place it next to this drawing. And of course, later you can just gather these together on a documentation plot layout or wherever you would like to place this information. But the whole thing, it is automatically generated based on your selection, and then it will automatically identify parts for you, and it will be easy to talk about the different sections and how it is actually assembled, because this is the look that you will get in the end.
That's right. And of course, you can open up this group, as you said, and you can add further notes and annotations to it. Let's see how to gather some relevant information about your cabinetry in tags.
Yeah, well, the tags are here in the documentation under tags. And first I would like to show you how you can assemble this tag information. You need to go to tags, create tags, and now we are working with interior cabinet parts, so I have selected that, and I have assembled a few general properties here in this list. I also edited the prefixes based on my preferences, and I also disabled the floor and style. And the most important thing that I would like to show you now is the components and quantities, which you can actually find here in the under general properties here. So if it's not appearing on your list, then you can just click here, add, and it will automatically be added to the tag that you will create in the future placement. So if I hit OK, then I can go to tags, and I can place the tag. I can just accept that, yes, this is what I would like to work with. I can change the text style if I would like to. I won't do that now. I just hit OK, and then I will select any of those cabinets that I would like to place the tag for, and then I just place it next to my drawing. So here's the point that I wanted to show you, that this tag, which is anyhow, it is linked to the original item, so when the original item changes, this can be also updated. And besides the generic information with my prefixes, the information that we have covered under the the quantity takeoff, the exploded view. This is the same information that you can also incorporate into this tag, and you can place it right next to your drawing. So all that information that tells you how this cabinet is built and what sort of panels it contains and what is the size of those panels, it is all there in the single tag that you can place next to your item.
And also copy and paste it onto a plot layout if needed.
Yes.
Suppose that you want to gather the names of materials you have been using on multi-layered elements. What's the way for that?
This is a tool that you can find under documentation, and it is called the quantity takeoff and use materials. Now, we're talking about materials. This is important because, as you will see, this is how it is linked together with the information that we will place on the drawing. And it is used for walls, slabs, roofs, and also there's the material legend list. So now I'm working with the wall use material list. When I click on that, I accept the formatting. I don't want to change that now. And if I click on this wall, I can place this as a tag next to the drawing. And as you can see, it is containing information about a brick, a thermal isolation, and also another brick. So where does that information come from with these thicknesses? This is something that you can find inside the settings of your wall. And it is under the compound wall settings, and these are the materials that we are seeing here. So if you would like to change that, you can change the material. You can also copy the material and rename it somehow else. But basically, this is the information that the software will list on the right-hand side when you place it next to your drawing. And this is the command that you can find under documentation, quantity takeoff, and use material on the wall, for example.
Yes, but as you can see, you can use the same methodology with slabs and roofs as well. It is always an exciting topic of how to work together with other designers, especially if they are using different software products. So let's see an example for just that.
Well, now we will use the RFA, RVT file format. And especially now we are loading up a sample project from Revit that you can find here, which is a sample project, but you will understand how the procedure works, and I will show you what are the strengths of this format when you import and how you can work with that. So now I have selected one of these sample projects that I have downloaded from online, and this is on my computer. So I hit open, and then the software will offer me two options. The first is basically to start with a clean paper, like let's say that, it's just creating an empty environment, and then I can just work with that. Or the other one is that when I just incorporate all these settings that are coming from this RVT file into the default ARCHLine.XP settings. So I'm going to select the first one, and then just because I have selected the first one, and this is actually turning into a project, I will select yes to create a new project based on this file that I'm loading up.
Okay, what are we going to see once the importation is done?
Well, now that the software is importing the items, one of the strengths of this import format is that the software is not only importing an object or one single item or something like that, but it will understand the structure of this project, so it will be able to recognize walls and turn them into walls in ARCHLine. It will understand slabs, and you can edit those with the tools within ARCHLine as they would be created inside ARCHLine.
Let's see. Okay, now that the importation is done, what do we actually see?
Well, we can see that the software imported the RVT file with the content was recognized within, and then it turned walls, slabs, columns, beams into items that were able to process in a way that it can be processed as a natural or native ARCHLine.XP item. Not all of them will be turned like this, but many of the majority of these items will be recognized this way. So one important point is that when the software is importing items from the RVT file, it's not only recognizing walls, slabs, perhaps perhaps columns and beams. But it is also recognizing the floor structure. I will show you that, and also it is recognizing the styles, the so-called families in Revit. Those will be turned into styles in the software, and it will also recognize the materials. So let me just show you what we have got here. There is this floor plan. This is a very important thing, that we are actually having a floor plan with actual walls and doors and windows. Let me just swap this view so we can tell what we can see here in the 3D. Now here in the 3D, I can zoom into this area because I just would like to start with the materials first, because those are the most obvious visible items. So the materials that are imported from the Revit file are also automatically appear on the surfaces. You can of course customize them the way you want. You can change them, you can modify their behavior, reflection, and so on, just as you would do with any other material within ARCHLine. But basically, the most important information is imported, so you can start with from that level. Now, the other important thing is just as I mentioned, is the software is recognizing slabs, walls, and other items. So whenever I click on any sort of item like a wall, it will be recognized as a wall, and I can also go into the properties of that wall, and I can also perhaps even edit the different layers right within this wall.
Does this mean that I could even edit the walls, for example, trim them back or extend them?
Yes. Before I do that, let me just quickly do something which is a very, very basic thing that I usually do with these drawings. I just would like to create an elevation view as well. So if you would like to, you can create an elevation view. This should be a south elevation, perhaps. So the software automatically generates this south elevation. Let me go back to the settings of this elevation. I think the symbol is somewhere here. So I go to the properties, and I will just change this from hidden line to consistent color. This will be a nice result. Yes, I just would like to regenerate the content. So this is how it looks like. The reason I wanted to do this, because now I'm going to reorganize the content. And then when I zoom into this one and I just edit this content, we will understand how this works in all of the drawings. So I just would like to click here, and I want to change the length of the wall, just as I would do with any sort of wall that I've designed in ARCHLine. And let me just place it somewhere here. So I'm just actually trimming back the wall, so you can see that you can actually edit those walls within ARCHLine, and that change won't only affect the 3D, but it will also affect the elevation should you have any sections, and also the 2D drawing. And the same way, you can also paste new windows, new doors, and so on into your drawing.
You made one remark about the floor structure. So what do we see from the original floor structure here?
Yes, besides we can see the whole building built up the way it was originally designed. It is important that when you go to the 2D drawing and you click on the level designer here, you will see the same level structure, the distances, and basically all the constraints that you can define here are all there, and then you can just simply edit them. You can change any sort of, you can rename them, perhaps you can add new layers, you can remove levels, you can remove levels if you fancy. So this is actually, in a way, it is quite similar to what you would do if you would build up this whole building from ground zero, from scratch within ARCHLine.
You mentioned something about the material libraries. Is there anything else extra you need to do in order to see the materials like they are?
Yes, the material library is something that is not necessarily basically on your computer. This is something that you will find on our website from where you can download. This is the Autodesk material library that you can download. You can install. It's a free material library that you can install on your computer. So to make sure that all the materials are understood properly, you need to go there and download this installer and install it on your computer, and then you can make sure it will work the way it works now here.
In case of Revit, we know that the elements are stored as families. What happens to them when you import a project that holds Revit families?
Yeah, well, I actually talked about the walls, so let me just focus on the walls first. If I select this wall, I can see that it has a certain style naming. In ARCHLine, these are styles. And if I just drop down this list, I can see there are other sort of styles. So I can just exchange this wall to another style. So things that you can find as families in Revit, as wall families, those are turned into wall styles in ARCHLine with all the detailed information. So if I go to the building, and properties, wall, then I can see the same style list appearing here, which is based on the original families imported from the Revit file that we have just opened here.
So nothing is lost. You can use this information to keep on processing the model.
The most important thing is that most of the part of the model will be converted into something that you can edit. Not all of them, but most of them, and then you can just work with that in a very native way.
Let's look at the method to actually show your clients your design even before it's finished. What happens if you want to get your design to your clients that they can open in a platform of their choice?
Yeah, well, this is the 3D PDF that I'm willing to show you now. The 3D PDF is a regular PDF that you can just copy and open in another computer using the Adobe Reader. You will be able to read not only just the 2D exports that the software can export, all the layouts, the floor plans, also views that you create as image files. But not only those, but from now on the software is able to export the model itself that is in front of us in its glory, in its full visible content that we can see here now in front of us in the 3D. So it's important to rebuild the 3D, to refresh the 3D the way you would like to export it, and then you go to the File menu, and then you use the Export and the 3D PDF. Now, well, here, actually, I already saved this project, I mean the PDF file, so I won't repeat that. I just would like to show you how it looks like. So now I have here it on my other screen, so this is what we get. Now, this is an axometric view, so we can see the whole model from outside, so obviously I need to kind of like cut it half using the show cross-section option. This way the software created a horizontal section. Now I'm actually now in the Adobe Acrobat Reader, not in ARCHLine. And this is the PDF file that I have saved. So in this PDF file, we can see the content appearing. I can also click here and use this spin option to rotate it around, and then I can just zoom in and we can discuss the layout with the clients. And then for this, I don't need anything else other than the Adobe Acrobat Reader, which is a free software that you can download, or your clients also can download it. And the only thing that we had to do, I believe it was there was some sort of confirmation message coming up here at the top, and there was a question mark which we had to click on and kind of accept that we would like to visualize the 3D content, and then it was automatically appearing in front of us. So this easily you can just save the model into a PDF file, copy that PDF file on another device like another computer, use the free reader and open up the model, and you can just look around the model, turn it around, create a section if the interior is important, then discuss the layout with your clients.
Again, a very good way to keep your clients up to date. Let's discuss the opportunities of the FBX Import and Export abilities in ARCHLine. What do they do? What we can use it for?
Yeah, well, the FBX file format is a file format that you can, if you find an object online, very likely you will either find it as a SketchUp file or an FBX file or any other type. FBX is very popular, and it contains not only a model, but it can also contain several textures. If the material is a PBR material, it can contain the PBR material informations, like for example the bump mapping or normal mapping, and it can also contain lights. So if you import a model, you will get those information, the model itself, the textures, the materials. And if you export the model, you will export not only the scene itself, how it looks like, but all the textures, all the PBR channels, and also the lights. So let me show you an example to that. Here, as we can see, there's this nice interior of this living room with all the spotlights on the ceiling and so on.
Created in ARCHLine, yes.
Yes, these are effectively created in ARCHLine, and those are actually real light sources. So if I would render this, we would see the lights cast all around in the surfaces. And now I would like to pass it outside to someone else to create, to do whatever they would like to do with this scene in FBX file format. And all I need to do is to go to the file, export, and there's FBX. This is where I can export it. Well, I actually already did that. It takes a while depending on how complex your scene is. And we are using the Blender free modeler software to represent it, to show you how it looks like when you imported the content. And for this reason, I have this Blender modeler here. So as you can see, all the textures, all the surfaces, and even the light sources are all appearing here, and I can just select them. I can work with them the way I want. I can just use the tools of Blender to, I don't know, connect it to another renderer or just model something that I would like to do in Blender. See here, as actually, this is not just an image. This is an interactive model, which I can actually turn around, zoom into. I can navigate in this model the way I want, and then I can just select any of those content and do whatever I would like to do with those. The cameras, I can add my own cameras, and I can also find all the groups, the light sources, and I can edit them the way I would like to here in Blender. And also, as you can see, the nice detailed textures on the surfaces, they appear all around. So this is really the another sort of representation of the original model.
Just to recap, the FBX file, when you import and export them, in addition to the model, the geometry, you would also have the lights, and if you have the level of detail in terms of PBR materials, they would carry over as well. Bump mapping, what else?
Yes, this really depends on the receiving side. So if you are working in Blender, if you are working in Maya, if you're working in 3ds Max, those information are understood in a certain way as the receiver can interpret this information. The point here is that all that information is inside the FBX file, and it actually provides a very high level of communication, because all this information is contained within, and the way the other modeler or renderer actually understands the content, you can just continue working with it. It's kind of similar in a way like we would talk about a BIM file in the architectural world. The FBX is kind of similar when we talk about the same thing in the modeling world.
Let's discuss some aspects of the staircases. What happens if certain aspects are not following the norms?
Yeah, well, talking about norms and standards, in ARCHLine you have the option to go to File, Options, and you have this item settings. This is kind of the list for this sort of information here, and you will be able to find something called Stair and Stair Standards. If you click here on Edit, you have an option to select any of those standards that you have installed on your computer. And also, if you go to Other, you can actually change those values. Now, these are the things that the software are kind of listening to when you are changing anything ergonomically in the staircase, and it will be able to tell you whether talking about these norms, these constraints, I mean the minimum and maximum values, it is considered to be ergonomic or not. And the reason why you can edit this is because it is an option that if you design a staircase outside your region where there are other standards and then you cannot select here, then you can actually just type in the values that are used in that area where you're actually working with that. And to represent what that does is actually, if you go to the settings of this staircase, and you can change any sort of settings for the staircase, and if you are actually typing a value that is out of the limits, then the software will actually tell you that this is considered non-ergonomic. Of course, you can hit OK and you can place it down even if it's non-ergonomic, but the software is actually able to represent whether the values are out of the normal standard values. And there is another thing that I wanted to show you. In many cases, the software, when you select a staircase like this sort of U-shaped staircase with a landing, there is the option to change the thickness of the landing, and this is something that you can do by going into the settings. And if you go to support, there is this option for the thickness of landings. Now, this is a calculated value. As you can tell here, this is a non-regular number. If you just drop this down, you have two options, either to type a value by yourself or just go back to the calculated value. If I would like to change it to something else, just change it to something thicker, like 300 millimeters. And when I hit OK, then the software makes this thicker. But you can do this the other way around, just going back to the settings and select calculated values. So this is also an option very useful when you're designing staircases.
So basically you would be working based on norms, but you can override them.
Yes, that's the fact, yeah.
Let's see how we can list the steps of the staircases, especially if you have like an asymmetric staircase like the one we see in the bottom left. So how do you list?
So this is a very specific staircase, and if you would like to list, you have two options. The first option, which I'm going to show you, is in the documentation quantity takeoff, and it's called the stair threads list. And if you click here, you can select the stair itself, and then the software will go through all the steps, and it will create a graphic list. This graphic list is actually it's actually a series of tiny drawings that will be assembled in an array here. So if I click here, then you will see that it's a list of tiny drawings next to each other with basic information about the step and the step itself. So it's like a top-down view of the step itself, which you can use for many purposes. You can add extra details, you can just copy paste them, or you can just place them on the layout, for example. And also, if you would like to connect this information with the so-called CNC machines, machinery, then you can also export this information there. In that case, you won't likely use this list of drawings, but instead it will be much better to use the direct command, which is the CNC export, which can be found in case of the staircases. You can find them in the building, and it's the stair, and it's called the create CNC DXF output. Now I actually already saved that. It's a very quick command. It creates a bunch of DXF files. It will actually create exactly as many steps I have here. So each and every step will be an individual DXF file. I have opened the step number 5's DXF file, which is here on the other screen, and it looks like this. It's very simple, but it is a file that is ready for CNC use. So the machine that cuts out from any sort of wood or any other material, it will be able to use this content. And as you can see, it's numbered CNC 5. So this is the 5th step of my staircases, which are all the steps are very unique piece by piece. They are not similar in any way to each other. So the point here is that you can either create a graphic list inside ARCHLine, or you can also create a CNC output, which will end up with which you will end up having several DXF files that you can send over, and guys can process it with the complete machinery.
This concludes the second part of our webinar series on the feature highlights of ARCHLine.XP 2022. If you like this show, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel.
Yes, and the free trial is already available, so if you liked what you see and you would like to test it for yourself, just go ahead and download the trial version.
Keep your eyes out for part 3. Thanks for your attention.